Well, thank you very much for staying with me for this holiday, Good Friday installment of Blunt Thoughts. It may be the president's birthday and we've celebrated him, but right now we discuss the hard issues that are taking place in our country, which is why today I have titled my Blunt Thoughts, and I'll repeat the title for you: A dumsor situation, cocoa dissipation, and open defecation. Wahala every day. A dumsor situation, cocoa dissipation, and open defecation. Wahala every day. Now, these are three critical areas I'm looking at: energy, cocoa, you may have followed the stories that we've been bringing you, and open defecation and everything happening in between. So let's quickly get to the slides and find out what I have to share with you. Now, starting from the standpoint of energy, yeah? In recent times, I heard the energy minister, some people allude certain or assign certain attitudes to him. You want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, right? But the more I listen to the energy minister, the more angry, for lack of a better word, I keep getting. Because what is this? What was the rhetoric then? And why this rhetoric now? The energy minister in recent times asked about a load shedding timetable, gave us this ludicrous response. Ask those who want to bring it if there is. I haven't seen any timetable. The ECG says there is no timetable coming. Why do you want to bring a timetable? For what purpose? Why would somebody wake up and wish evil on the country? When it is not planned, you can't tell the person. Evil, I see. When we are talking about how to manage our lives, the energy minister says, if you want that, you are thinking evil for Ghana. Wonders will never end. But let's go to the next slide. Because in the midst of all of this, the PURC has issued an order to the ECG and given it certain timelines. I was discussing that just a few weeks ago. In fact, just last week, right? And they were told to comply with a cash waterfall mechanism and pay all tariff revenues by March 25th, 2024. That has been dealt with. That has been tackled. It's ongoing, right? But then submitting a load management timetable in some context. It's not in the general context, but they had spoken about transformers and other maintenance activities. So they were told, give a load shedding timetable for some of these. That, the deadline, March the 27th, 2024, the ECG has not complied with that directive. Then the provision of evidence of publication of load management timetable. Of course, if they've not published it, they will have no such evidence. Again, March the 27th, 2024, non-compliant, as far as that is concerned. Then you look at the Tema General Hospital issue, which I've been talking about. Now it's crucial, Ghana, because on the day, some may say, oh, nobody died, though there's that 24-year-old woman who underwent a cesarean section who says, my child died and a doctor told me that the equipment they were supposed to use could not be used because of the power outage. I'll get to that. But a power outage in any medical facility is a crisis. Because there could be people undergoing surgery. There could be people, imagine you've been opened up and the lights go off and you're bleeding. It's only a matter of time. And you may see it as far away. It could be you. It could be me. I've gone to some of our public hospitals, which is why nowadays a lot of the time I wouldn't go to any of them. And I'm not discrediting them, but you know what happens when you go to some of them and how long it takes before you get any treatment. In the midst of all that, they had plants, generators, all right. But at the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, it wasn't functioning for about 2 hours. Now, this 24-year-old woman says the doctor told her that some equipment failed to work on the back of the power outage, and that led to the death of a child. But the Tema General Hospital came out with a statement saying that no such thing had happened, at least in the ICU or the NICU. And we've heard the Greater Accra director of the Ghana Health Service also weighed into it. But why do we have to get to this point? Power went out on Tuesday, March the 26th, and the hospital had to rely on its power plant. The generator for the neonatal intensive care unit was faulty. Engineers started work. Power was out for about 2 hours. However, no lives were lost as a result of the power outage. This is what the Tema General Hospital told us. And I think their leadership also ought to be proactive. We are in a period of doom, so let nobody deceive himself or herself. You should know that these things will happen. And especially in an area as crucial as the NICU, if you know that there's a power outage and your generator or plant is not functioning properly, what do? It's a matter of life and death in minutes. Now, the system peak load outlook. Follow me. There's a picture I'm going to paint. In 2022, peak load, 3,469 megawatts. 2023, 3,618 megawatts. 2024, 3,788 megawatts. You see an incremental trend, right? And it also stands to reason that once you know this is happening, what will you do? You get prepared. You provide as the population grows, as industry tries to do more. But what did we do? If you go to that next slide, right? Factors influencing the peak demand in 2024. Economic growth, increased loads, notably commissioning of ongoing rural electrification initiatives within ECG and NETCO distribution zones. Of course, we were fully aware of all of these. But then you look at whether we did not even know that dumsor was going to happen. It appears, if you follow the rhetoric, the incremental trend in power requirements and what reports said, right? The Energy Commission, it was clear that we knew we were on the verge, on the cusp of another dumsor experience. And here's why. Our installed capacity, 5,194 megawatts. Dependable capacity, 4,756 megawatts. Factoring in planned scheduled maintenance for generation units and fuel supply situation, you would realize the difference. Available capacity then would give you 4,400 megawatts. That gives you a difference of about 356 megawatts in terms of the dependable capacity and even more in terms of the installed capacity. Of course, we may not be using all of the installed capacity. But if we did know, even before I get to the cocoa conversation, if from the analysis I've just made, we were aware on the back of the trends that would get here, is it not only the fool who sees a problem coming and embraces it or does nothing? In this country, you see, we are very allergic to leadership being criticized. But until we get to that point where we are razor sharp with our criticism, and I agree, it must cut deep for change to come. And it's not just leadership, it is followership as well. We are also involved. We are all involved. That's why we have that song. In building our motherland, we are all involved. But if we fail to hold leadership accountable on the back of where we stand on the political spectrum, then we might as well keep mum or go wherever else we want to go. Don't talk about it. But some of us have to talk about it, which is what brings me to the cocoa dissipation angle of my conversation this morning, because I can't think far. You know, sometime last year and early this year, I was talking about Ecuador and the others and how they are revamping their cocoa industry. Ghana has been retrogressing over time, and now it's got to the point where if we are not careful, the cocoa we like to boast of, well, let's go to the slides. So we have experienced a cocoa bean shortage. Ghana risks losing access to the second tranche of the cocoa syndicated loan, and the country is turning to traders to try to plug the funding gap. But if you look at the total syndicated loan secured in 2023, we're looking at $800 million. Cocobot doesn't have enough beans now to support the second and final tranche of $200 million. Of course, if your production hasn't met what was expected, then that means what you are expecting, because mind you, it comes to facilitate, and then you get the money in advance, do what must be done, and then they also make their returns and get their money back. But if you're not able to reach the end of your agreement or the bargain, fulfill that end, what happens? The other end, it's contract. That's how it is, contractual. Now, the $200 million we're looking at may not necessarily come. But there's a story in this trajectory, right? If you look at Ghana's struggling cocoa industry and the gap analysis, look, from the 2016-2017 season all the way to 2023-2024, from here, and the green, by the way, is Ghana. The green is the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. The red is Ghana. Look at the trends. 2016-2017, Ivory Coast, the world leader, was producing 2 million metric tons. It dipped in 2017-2018 to 1.9 million. Marginal. But look at their trend. It is somewhere between 1.75 million, averagely. Average. They've held it constant from 2016 to 2024. 2 million, 1.9, 2.2, 2.1, 2.3, 2.1, 2.3, 1.8. And even this 1.8 is on the back of the general struggles that we are all facing, right? But look at Ghana. Stark reality. 969,000 metric tons, one of the best we've ever done, 2016-2017. It fell to 904, 812, 771. Then we rose to that major high in 2021. 1 million. But I guess complacency may have set in because since then, we've reached the lowest in about a decade. Now at 580,000. You look at 969, you look at 1 million, and then you look at 580. We've nearly halved our production or output. Now again, if you look at Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire in terms of their share in world production, Cote d'Ivoire in 2016-2017 had 43%. Again, you see how stable they are. 43, 42, 45, 45, 43, 44, 45. Look at Ghana. 20% of the market share when the Ivory Coast had 43%. We slumped to 19, 17, 16. Went, of course, that time when we produced 1 million metric tons. 20, 14, and now 13. You don't need to be a soothsayer. You don't need a crystal ball to tell you that we are in dire straits. When the market leader is producing 45% and you are producing 13%, and the likes of Ecuador, even Brazil, the South American countries, even Asian countries are catching up and coming with force, we just might slip. And come to think of it, it's a major cash earner. Unfortunately, around this time, a ton of cocoa is worth more than, say, of copper. You're looking at more than $9,000. This would have been the best time to cash out, especially when our economy is where it is. But misleadership has led us here. Now, you also look at the causes of drops in production because it's not in isolation, right? There are factors, and we see those factors. Galamsey is one of them. So you look at smuggling because the systems are rife for that. You look at swollen shoot disease, and we've not dealt with it properly. We are rather dilly-dallying with the situation. You look at galamsey, then climate change, and then overaged trees. All of these factors. And then you also look at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and Bloomberg and a comparative analysis of cocoa farm gate prices versus international prices for this current season. The disparity paints a picture because the farm gate price per ton, which is what would likely give to the farmer, or maybe even less, 1,834. But the prevailing price per ton at the international level, on the international market, 9,638 currently. Are we giving enough incentive to the farmers? Are we? Look at what Cote d'Ivoire is doing to their farmers. I know something has been done from last year and all of that, but you must always, every step of the way, when you have a cash crop that is delivering for you the boons and basically the spine of your economy, right? The backbone of your economy, agriculture. Anywhere else, which is why you would see the trend of when, in fact, there are... Okay, so I'll just have to go back on this. Here we go. Which is why you would see that smuggling is also in there. Crucial, because when you have prices that low and your competitors are willing to pay more, the farmers will be incentivized to smuggle. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not saying it's the patriotic thing. but I'm saying that some people, especially finding ourselves where we do, will opt for that. But now, let's again look at Ghana's struggling cocoa industry in terms of export value for the first 2 months. You look at 2020, $716.3 million, and then you follow the trend from there. Now, 508.4, painting a critical picture. But having spoken about energy, crucial to our national life, and spoken about cocoa, crucial to our national life, I've chosen 3 subjects. The last one I'll speak about is open defecation. We lose many tens of millions of dollars every year dealing with open defecation. The question, though, is where does that money really go? Because what I'm about to show you will leave you scratching your head. And the cost of same when it comes to health, because once people do this, the likelihood of the diphtherias and the diarrheas and dysentery and everything in between is right at your doorstep, especially when the rains come. So, here we go. If you look at residential structures, total residential structures, 5.9 million, and that's the estimate. Houses without toilet facilities, 3.4 million. Can you imagine that? How do you even build without this? We've spoken time and again about houses having this, but how do you even build without that? Then households without toilet facilities practicing open defecation, 1.47 million. If you look at the open defecation points in bushes or open fields or gutters, and by the way, even recently, in close proximity to the Independence Square, we caught someone defecating because there were weeds and everything there. Not the right thing to do, but it just tells you something, doesn't it? 1.38 million for this. At the beach, 61.4 thousand. Polythene bags, 17,000. Chamber pots, 18.6 thousand. That is 18,600. When you look at the total, you get that sum of 1.47 million. And some districts are more prone, I will not say they are more prone, vulnerable to it because of a lack of these systems. Let's walk through them. Nanumba North, 25,000 plus. Tema, metropolitan area, 23,000, plus, 600 plus. Tema. So there's Tamale, but Tema is in there also. Tamale metropolitan area, 23,622. Gushegu Municipal, 22,000 plus. Sagnarigu, 21,000. We're starting with the Northern Belt. Now, it's interesting because there are a lot of those in the Northern Belt in here. Then Ketu South Municipal, 20,000 plus. But then you start coming closer. And Ablekuma South, 368. Ashiedu Keteke, 168. Okaikwe South, 138. The total, AMA total, 647. But then, yes, I told you Tema was coming. When you look at constituencies, Tema East, 2,938. Tema Central, 1,499. The TMA total, that is the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, 4,437. For me, while indeed the Tamale figures are way higher, I feel in a place like Tema, how can this even be happening? Right in the center of town, right in the hub of industry. And then you look at other constituencies. Unfortunately, my good friend Sticker's constituency is here in Shire, so 456. And this has to do with the open defecation points. Bantama, Honorable Francis Asensubuache, 418. Manchia North, 357. Subin, 188. Manchia South, 107. That is for the KMA. And then we'll also look at the Tamale metropolis going back there. Tamale South, 21,000 plus. Tamale Central, 23,000 plus. In the central region as well, in other areas, Mfantiman Municipal, 5,000 plus. Jumoro, 3,000. Ketu South, over 3,000. Other districts, Adan, West, East, Tema, Ningo, Pram. Sam George, 1,526 right there. How are you helping deal with the situation? So basically, when you look at these 3 components that I've brought to you today, it's a holiday. Pardon me if I've engaged in taking more of the time, but I get exasperated. I get tired. Even as someone who has to look at these figures on a daily basis, I get tired. Why do we have to be here? Oh, and by the way, that also reminds me of the vice president's promise that within 2 years of their tenure or something like that, there would be no, facility or no house without running water and toilet facilities and all that. What happened, Mr. Vice President? So as I wish the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a happy birthday, I hope he will take time to reflect on the dumsor he spoke about so passionately in 2015 and 2016. I hope that he will also look at the cocoa, which he lambasted the former administration for time without number, and where we are today. I hope he will cast his eyes, his gaze, to open defecation and realize that we've come a long way, actually, without coming a long way. My name is Benjamin Akapo. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, unedited, and diluted. As always, God bless Ghana and make her great and strong.